Samira here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Wisconsin High School Esports Association's League of Legends Varsity League. My name is Jarl Carl, joined by Zombro today for the cast. It's week number 2. How's it going, sir?
It's going good. Excited for week number 2. Had a little bit of trouble getting into this lobby, but we are here. We're watching one of the same teams from last week. That would be Follette, and then we have our new team on the stream, which would be Bayport. Bayport last week, I did actually watch their game because I'm close to Kimberly, coaching Kimberly, the team they faced. Their top laner was definitely a weak point. He ended the game with 15 CS. So,
oh dear.
Yeah. We'll have to see what ends up happening in this game. Well, I am especially, like I said, just looking towards top lane. Obviously, because I do, understand what happened last week. I don't have too many high hopes for them, but we'll see if, we've seen some bigger change this week, and that's definitely where my eyes will be.
You never know. Anything could happen. Similar bans, I think, or Follette last week played against the Malphite, this time banning it away. They're saying, we don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
They picked a very aggressive kind of snowbally comp. Cajun Steady, the AD carry, was a main highlight in that match, so excited to see if they can redo that. The game that was scheduled for stream today got swapped around. Team had to forfeit, so we found somebody at the last minute, and then, of course, had trouble with the lobby, because that's sort of how it goes when you try to make League of Legends lobbies. Things go wrong, but we're here now. Only a couple minutes late. Thanks for sticking with us. But Bayport 0-1, like you said, maybe not a shining start to the season.
Yeah. It's always difficult when you look at the first game of season because you have a very small sample size. But obviously after watching the games, it always just feels a little bad. We will be seeing this Samira. I believe Follette was the one that played this last week.
They were, yes.
Yes, I'm getting my sides correct. Going to be countered here by what's covered to Jarvan. I don't hate this because it does have the knock-up. It does stop Samira's ultimate. The ultimate 2, isn't too great blind picking into Samira because she still does have a dash. But Jarvan's one of those champions that if you're comfortable on it, you can definitely start to take over a game and apply a lot of pressure onto the map.
Yes, you can. Jarvan, very strong champion right now. Receiving some nerfs, probably going to receive more nerfs. I like this composition, at least so far objectively. No idea if it is played by Bayport at all, but the champ objectively is pretty good. Xayah, also not a bad champ against Samira. You can get out of that ultimate for a little while. So not a bad start. I like the Soraka. Keep the Samira a little bit safe. Maybe a Talon hover as well. Could be quite fun.
Yeah, I mean, Talon's an interesting character. I have seen him in jungle in a few solo queue games, but I believe that he is definitely a mid-champion right now. We will see the blind pick Darius for the top lane, I would assume, top lane of Bayport, which, it's an interesting blind pick, especially because it has quite a few counters, but, at the average level of play that we're looking at here, it definitely feels like a strong pick. And when you're looking at Samira, who wants to be close to range, and a Talon, who's a melee champion, you might be able to just get a few ultimate resets with Darius and take over a team fight pretty easily.
Yeah, if you've got that reset, if you're hitting away, 1W, maybe a Q, maybe even not, and the ult onto Samira could take her down straight away, depending on what else is there. So the Jarvan-Darius combo could be quite scary for the Samira to deal with. One thing I'm noticing is it's all physical damage for Bayport thus far. So looking to see a little bit of magic damage from the mid lane, maybe the support position as well. But we will have to see.
Yeah, and those are two commonly AP, relatively heavy positions, so it's not too big of a worry here. It's definitely a big worry if we see some AD mid locked in. Then we start to panic a little bit. But other than that, having a solo AP threat can sometimes be a good thing. It's a good spot for your jungle to be camping. Solo AP threats also probably relatively scale, heavy, just because of the mage items and how broken they are right now. And I expected the support lock in here, countering Soraka with Sona. So Xayah Sona versus the Samira Soraka bot lane. Definitely interesting double enchanter. Obviously Xayah is going to be outscaling a Samira, but it's definitely a lot harder to play this laning phase when you have that silence available.
Yes, indeed. The silence can be scary. Poppy selected, I would imagine, for the top lane, possibly for the jungle position. We'll know a little bit more.
I would definitely prefer to have Poppy in the jungle at this point. Into the Jarvan, it's not a bad pick, and I feel like into Darius, it just feels horrible. So I am hoping this is going into the jungle for Follette's sake.
Interesting. Talon jungle, maybe? Poppy top? What do you think about this?
I do think you're correct with that, but I would rather see the Annie or Talon top lane, specifically the Annie, and the Poppy still in the jungle. But I do think it's going to be a Talon jungle, and everything else just fits into place.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's the obvious read from what these players have picked. The Vex in the mid lane, that will add some magic damage. I don't hate that pick. But I think you can block the ult with Samira W. I assume it's projectile. I've never tried that, or at least remembered, but I'm sure it works that way.
If you press it, at the correct timing. Samira with relatively short cooldown, so short cast duration can be a little bit difficult, especially on Vex, where the actual projectile itself, the hitbox is a little wonky with how it actually looks, just because it hadn't looked good, for depression and everything.
Yeah, you can mess yourself up with Ashalt also, because the hitbox is way in the back of the arrow. You just think you win wallet. Just kidding, you get hit. That does not feel good.
Yep.
So
I think Vex is like the opposite issue though, which just feels
right in the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's annoying. Hitboxes can always be deceiving in League of Legends, but we'll see what happens here as we wait for a 3-minute cooldown until we load into the Rift.
Nothing like a little old spectator delay, but gives us a little more time to set the scene. Enjoy the sound of my puppy crunching on an antler in the background. We might have to move that at some point, but hopefully the dog doesn't chew on my chair too much. So it's our first cast with the dog.
Oh man.
What could possibly go wrong?
A few whiffs here, a few there.
Gotta add some background, but on the game, I like the Darius pick. I think that could be sort of the key. Like the Darius Jarvan combo. You can even throw the Vex in there, just shut down this Samira. We saw Cage and Steady go very, very far ahead last week playing 1 versus 1. That's my desk. You can't chew on that. Thanks very much. Very, very far ahead. We saw a really aggressive flashing over walls, dashing over walls, just going everywhere in week number 1. And that's something that I'm looking for this Samira to do again. But that can be shut down. Samira has to go in, and Vex has a fear. Jarvan has a knock-up. Darius can one-shot you. So a lot of danger if you go into the middle of the team. There's a lot of CC and a lot of ways to interrupt this champion.
Yeah, and that champion's strength also starts in the laning phase, really trying to get some kills early on. And the reason I kind of wanted to see that Poppy in the jungle still is because she's pretty much the only champion who can actually set up Samira, especially with the knockup. Soraka, you're looking to hit that root. Annie still has a stun, but nothing else is going to actually be able to get Samira's engage going to start her passive procking up even faster with that extra bit of knockup and dash forward into her own dash range. So, while I believe Meat was top lane last time, so it is definitely going to be going top. We are looking at probably a little bit more of a passive lane than what the Samira would want for starting out. Obviously, Xayah and Sona don't have any dashes themselves, but still very difficult to get onto that because Xayah has her root and Sona has a slope.
All the CC. Gotta be careful. Everybody actually can interrupt Samira.
That is true, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Xayah root won't interrupt it, but she can dodge it. So.
Does it not interrupt the root?
No, the root won't interrupt it. It has to be a hard CC.
All right, just kidding. 4 out of 5.
Everyone else, yes.
Interrupt. All right, we'll call it that. So that can be scary. I think part of me worries for the damage of the Follette if they aren't able to. Sorry, we're being messaged by the teams. If they're not able to get the Annie ahead, especially Talon Samira kind of being the main damage sources, I think that could go badly if you build the Steel Caps armor item as well. So there is that possibility as well. If you go late game, maybe these champs don't do enough damage. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I do see that possibility. I find this game being going to be one-sided punch, it feels like. If either of these teams do get ahead, they do have a lot of snowball potential on both sides. So I kind of don't see that late game being a huge issue because this game should probably be over before 30 minutes. But I do have to agree with you, if it is hitting that point, your point is definitely still valid and stands. Another thing I want to point out, though, is that this Annie is also, I think, going to have a difficult time. Obviously, not too horrible in the laning phase because you do have relative range to match the Vex. But most of the time, you're going to be getting engaged on as the Annie. You're kind of going to be just getting ran at, and they're already under your tower. Oh, did they message you about a remake or something? Because
they did. Did you also get messaged about a remake?
No, I just noticed no one has Smite.
Yeah, so we may have a remake. We might have to opt to some sort of break. I don't know if we have a break screen available, but I think they're paused.
Starting soon screen.
All right, it's unclear exactly what has gone on.
Yes, but it
I
appears
believe
the
we don't have
jungle
smite.
for the summoner spell of our Talon is not
Not
available.
correct. I was told
Yes.
that the game switched it. That's what I was told.
Yeah, the automatic rune choice.
I
I would
think we
assume
may
when they
have been
picked that.
automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not optimal. I guess it is going to be Talon in the jungle, which we already talked about. But all
Do
right,
we
we
have
are checking
confirmation
in
if
with
it's
the
being
other team.
remaked?
They're paused currently, so we're gonna.
I see.
I mean, not a whole lot of point to play the game without smite.
Yes.
So we're asking the other team. Apparently, I can tile off-screen pings. I don't even know what that means.
You've not played a game with a new patch. Basically, if there's a ping off of your screen, if it's a missing ping, it'll just show anywhere. Otherwise, if it's one of the other pings, it'll kind of show within your relative vicinity.
Oh.
Just kind of lets you know on your screen visually a little bit more that someone is pinging.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's
All right.
basically it.
All right, they're gonna check the rules.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Well, I guess we will wait for them to do that. I don't know what the rules are. I don't
shall see.
actually know where the rules are. Maybe we can find them.
I
But
think
I
it's
guess
not in
we'll-
the Discord that we have access to.
I don't think it is either. So I guess we're hanging out. They're gonna figure that one out. The code might disappear. Ooh, I have not used a ton of tournament codes. Can you use the same code? You can actually. You can use the same code for multiple games. All right, we are on super delay though, so my talking to the teams, maybe it's
Yes,
not delay.
not gonna come
It's
through for
it's
a
a
while.
real puzzle. All right, we're still we're still asking. Well, I guess we'll keep you updated when we know more. We will either be continuing this game, or restarting with the same champs. So, not really a whole lot of difference, but it would be a downer if we had to play with smite, with no smite rather.
Yeah.
That would be a real bummer.
It means you can't buy jungle item, which also sucks because then you're not getting any XP or gold. Or I think it still gives you the same gold, but you're not getting any XP from the camps.
Just play double top.
Yeah, I think that might be the play. We're going back to our just started league blind pick days.
I don't. Hey, it's probably not too bad.
It's pretty bad.
I think you could still win a game that way.
I mean, I've seen it happen. It's happened in my ranked games before. I will say that, and we have won that way. But I feel like it's very difficult, and with a Talon, you kind of need abilities to gank. You won't have your wall hop. You know, you'll have your W for a slow, but you won't have your dash then to get on top of them after.
I am not advocating it being good. I think it's possible. Let's go with that.
It's possible. There's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance.
At least a small chance. Not really entirely sure. I guess maybe we're reading through the rulebook. I don't know what we're waiting on. Oh, more chat. We can technically leave the game. Wait, what? We can't. Why not? Just leave. I think if everybody leaves the
If
game,
everyone leaves the game, yeah, it just exits out. Yeah.
I think as long as everyone leaves, we should be good.
Mm-hmm.
That's how custom games work.
Is that the official?
It's unclear. No one knows. One of the players has said thoughts ? And there's been no reply. But again, we're also 3 minutes behind.
Yep.
So, and my typing won't do anything. We're recording the rules. 22.1.5. Can the stream see the chat, by the way, or am I just reading?
No, the stream should not be able to see the chat.
All right, excellent. I'm reading out. I'll read you a story, bedtime story. The rules say you can change a summoner spell and remake the game.
The rules state that officially.
That's what the claim was.
Oh, I see. That's what the claim is. Has anyone actually seen this rulebook?
No.
Has anyone seen a rule book?
I have not. The coach is not. I'm being messaged by the coach. Okay, teams agreed. This is very dramatic. Teams agreed. Okay, so yeah, but somebody needs to tell me you're actually all leaving the game, or if we both leave the game and then you decide to play, then it's really funny. Cool. One second. All right, we are remaking.
Okay.
So we are exiting the game. And hopefully the players exit. And there's not one player that doesn't get it. I also have been sent the tournament code. I've been invited to a game. Let's go. This is good news.
Oh my.
It's on, bro. Where you at?
Right here.
Okay, all of one team is here. All of the other team is not here.
Half of us are here.
Yeah.
Do they know that the game's been remade?
This is
They don't know who
Not-
General Jar Jar is.
I don't know who that is either. He was here last time though, so I'm imagining that he's
Coach.
yes, I hope so.
He was here last time, whatever. I did not see.
Messaging coaches. And the coaches have talked to the players. It's like playing telephone. I could invite them. Invites. Oh, okay. I'd like to invite Ego because his name is short. I'm confident we're going to get there. Eventually. What is the coach's name? Coach's name is this.
Yeah, I trust Follette. You know, they last week they were in here on time after we had to remake the lobby, and they instantly got into positions too. Yeah, here they all come at a time perfectly in order.
One of them is going to have to leave. We're about to have this fun game. Oh, we're so close. When you have a full game.
They have to leave the lobby if they want to.
Yeah, someone's going to have to actually leave the game. Which is... If you haven't done this before, the lobby dance...
It's fun. Oh, who? Nope.
No!
Oh, man.
We're going to do it. We're going to get the coach in here.
I believe. I'm a believer.
No. Here we go. No! Okay. We're taking control. We're taking charge.
Do they need their coach in the lobby? Is that in the rule book?
No, they don't need him, but they want him. So for the stream.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is fun. You know, this is always just making League of Legends match is in the lobby is always fun. You can actually have someone join into the spectator directly, which is why we have to do all this for anyone that is curious. And then we are just waiting for the coach, unless they do just want to start the game right away. But no one else but Charles Carl is actually typing in the chat room, so we're just actively waiting for this to end up happening.
Oh, Lord.
And obviously, Bayport is all in their positions already, so one of the Bayport players takes the hit. Bayport boys, they're out here.
We've done it.
The lad,
We've done it, folks.
It's helping us out.
All right, run it. Speed
Okay.
through this draft, lads. The Bayport hero coming in. He just goes, fine, I'll do it. I'll leave. And we're into the chat select. This is where you really hope they pick quickly. You know what you're picking. You can spell out something funny if you're with your bands. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know, we are, at this point in time, just looking for them to just pick through this really fast. We could talk a little bit about the, game a bit now, because we have all this figured out. We don't have to worry about that. Now that, we know exactly where all the champions are, and our Talon will hopefully have Smite, what are you looking at from the jungles here? Do you expect them to kind of be looking at more of the full ganks and walking around into the lanes permanently, or kind of more of that sit back, clear, maybe play for objectives, maybe fight a scuttle every once in a while, but playing more relatively passive?
I know almost nothing about jungle, to be honest. But I feel like if you're playing Talon...
Well, you're playing Talon and Jarvan. I would expect quite a few ganks, but mostly bot lane, because I feel like bot lane's the most vulnerable. I feel like it's pretty difficult to gank, especially mid lane, because it's such a short lane. And top lane, ganking a Darius can be a little bit sketch having a
I,
2v1.
yeah, I was going to point out it's also pretty hard to gank a Poppy if you're Jarvan.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I think a lot of pressure is going to happen bot lane,
Yeah,
and we'll have to see if they do end up committing to these bot lane ganks and prio.
that would be my imagination. Also, I think if you're playing Talon and Jarvan, it doesn't really seem like it's going to be a snooze fest. In terms of who we're ganking when we're farming, etc. I would be stunned if we're just farming till 6. Obviously, Talon's a lot stronger at 6, as is Jarvan, right? You want the ultimate, but that's true of anybody. You can definitely get off a lot of damage early. Talon, for example, can one-shot Sona at level 4, relatively easily with some bot lane help. So I think we will see some ganks, probably on that bot side or mid lane. I think top is probably out of the question. Poppy Talon against Darius, I don't love that idea. And ganking a Poppy as the Jarvan, you can't get in. You just save W, and that goes through. So I think mid and bot side focus, but I would imagine we'll see quite a lot of action early. And you mentioned earlier, I think we'll see quite a rapid-paced game. I would be surprised if we're just sitting back and waiting.
Okay, yeah. At the end of the day, we're going to have to wait for 3 minutes again, so we have a lot to talk about. We could keep talking about the save stuff. But I don't think we've talked about mid lane enough. Looking at these two champions, they're both relatively similar. Pretty easy to play and pilot. They all have, they both have similar combos. They have the CC abilities that just upgrades their spell into a CC version of the spell. And they both have ultimates that allow them to do pretty good engage potentials. So I think the biggest factor that's going to be kind of differing this game is going to be this mid lane. If one of them is able to roam a little bit more than the other, is going to be a huge factor. Just because if you get prio in the lane, you're able to, like we said, help this bot side, help your jungle make these ganks happen a little bit better. And when you are looking at this mid lane presence too, both these champions can one shot the other. So whichever one gets stronger first is probably just going to be able to take mid lane away.
I think that's a great point. I'm especially looking for this Vex to roam herself. Either side, I think. Obviously, it's a little bit hard. You have Samira W, you have Poppy W. Those can get in the way. But especially in the bot lane, it's not too hard to bait out Samira W. It is quite a long cooldown. And I think that is a lane you can roam to relatively easily. They're pretty squishy. Vex does a lot of damage. So I'm looking for the Vex to roam, especially. Obviously, Annie can too. Annie might take teleport additionally for maybe a little bit of post 14-minute roaming. But I agree. I think the mid lane could be quite important here. Ganking as a 4-man, 4-man dives, bot lane, etc. They're hated in solo queue, but they are pretty strong. So that is something that I would be looking for. If you're able to get ahead in this mid lane, I think you could just take over the game. It matters so much having that priority, Dragon, Herald, etc. And these champs, especially Vex, a 3-0 Vex or whatever. If you're really far ahead, you can get a lot done very quickly. That champ does a ton of damage.
Yeah. I mean, as you were saying, both these team comps are relatively squishy. Obviously, Bayport does have the Jarvan and Darius, and I wouldn't expect Jarvan to be building lethality this game. He could, but I wouldn't expect it.
I hope
so
not.
You definitely have a lot bigger health bars on blue side, just base. But I do think overall Soraka is going to have more healing than Sona will. Obviously, that comes off at the cost of Sona having her ultimate and slows and speed boosts and stuff like that. But Soraka is just a pure healing champion, which can be a little difficult to burst through when you're playing, Vex or Xayah or Darius, who kind of do a little more overtime damage.
Yes, I would agree. I think that is an interesting sort of the interesting dichotomy here is we have the Soraka, so the health bars are going to be replenished.
If they don't get one shot, they probably will win the fight.
Right, they're replenishable, whereas the Jarvan and the Darius might have a little bit more tankiness with the build. Through the armor being a little bit more tanky sort of inherently, but the Soraka to heal on the other side, the Annie shield can reduce some damage. So there's a lot of, that kind of difference, but the one shot is really what you have to see. If you survive the first wave, if Vex goes in and doesn't kill anybody, that's a bad sign because Silver Fang is going to be healing people up on the Soraka. You have Wish coming through, the Annie shield, and then you can kind of have that counter engage. So that's how I would imagine these fights will play out. But we'll have to wait and see exactly how that goes down because, how the team decides to play, of course, is going to matter the most.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it does kind of come down to gameplay. It will depend a lot on, I think as we talked about a lot, these jungles, seeing what lanes are going to be able to pressure, and then starting at some of these late game team fights mid lane, seeing who they're able to pick off and hop onto. And we'll just have to see what happens. Anything can happen at the end of the day in some of these games, so... it's always an interesting dichotomy to see.
It always is. We are now on to the Rift. At least I'm on to the Rift. I hope you're on the Rift.
Yep, I am here.
As well.
We are finally here. We have done it.
We're here. We get to play. We get to watch. It's very exciting. I don't know if we are synced. What time are you at, sir?
I am at 20, 21, 22.
Great. We're even synced. What do you know? Let me zoom myself out here a little bit, and we can finally enjoy some League of Legends. We're on the Rift. Bushbait. Me. Having a seat.
Yeah, we see Bayport doing the 5-stack. Follette kind of just putting a ward in and sitting at the red buff. And also Samira finally going to leave base here shortly. Hopefully. If we have to remake again, I swear.
Yeah.
Let's see. What am I looking at? Okay, there we go. We put all these in order. Bum, 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 bump. Okay. There we go.
We've done it. Nobody going to do a whole lot. The 5-point versus the...
5-point for Bayport versus... They're not going to invade us, surely.
Yeah. I feel like this is just the sort of... they're not going to invade. We don't want to be fancy. Let's just sit here and wait. Yep. So, it all works out in the end as we're getting set for the early laning phase. I'm looking for the level 2 fight. We saw that last time, something I focus on a lot as an AD carry. Who gets level 2 first? It can matter a lot, especially in low elo games. Just run at him, get an early kill. It is a Soraka, so the engage part is not quite there, but it is always nice to look for. If you get that level 2 advantage early, you can make some stuff happen for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we do see both junglers pathing onto the same side, so they are, mirroring their clears here. They're going to be able to meet at the scuttle at the same time. And we might see a fight there happening, unless one of these jungles obviously, goes bot straight away. They could both. You never know with in this current meta, especially after power farming has fallen off. You can't really tell what junglers are going to do because they can just do anything.
I think that's probably good in the long run. That fact that they can it's not as predictable. Level 2 hit for Meat. Might look for the slam to the wall if he finds it, but instead just gonna get a grasp stack and walk himself off, enjoy a small HP lead.
Yeah, I mean, the Poppy versus Darius matchup was all about Poppy just trying to poke down Darius before he hits level 3 and the level 6 power spike, respectively. Because it's at those points where he can kind of win the all-ins. But now when he has half of his health bar available, you need a little bit more than that if you want to be able to win these fights.
Gets a small heal there, but yeah, I definitely agree with that. Up a level for Meat. Nice control down in some CS, been missing those with the Hammer Slam, but that's okay. Got the HP poked out. Also the Corrupting Potion, so Meat should be able to stay quite healthy in this lane here, and yeah, failed in a lot of trouble, down very low. Still has the potion available, but that is not going to be quite enough HP to get all that back, so going to be down just a little bit here.
Yeah, and always happy to see failed 101 actually CSing. It's always a good sign for Bayport.
CSing is important. You definitely want to get those. The push in the bot lane coming in very strongly. Silverfang and Cajun Steady just sort of giving this lane up. I don't really hate that. Not if you're not sure where the jungler is. Mm-hmm. Get yourself back. Grab the CS under the tower. They're going to end up quite ahead after they collect this wave. Well played there by the Samira to pick up at least most of the CS.
Well. I did notice that these I also missed the cannon. As both junglers are at the top side, Heck and Duck does have his Q, but won't go for the dash in. Poppy actually has prio in this lane. Darius is just getting poked out a little too much. He's probably looking to recall here shortly. Wants to try and get a bit of his health bar back, especially before level 6. He'll probably recall it around level 5. Hopefully not before 6. You want to try to use that to surprise your opponent with an ultimate.
All 5 corrupting, or 5? I can't read. All 3 corrupting stacks has failed. It could be in some trouble. Meat decides not to go into the tower. Doesn't want to get flash baited or anything like that, but a lot of control. That should force the teleport out of failed. But no reason really for Meat to go back. He should be totally fine to just stay in this lane, as the junglers may now run into each other. Heck and Duck wants to take the fight, but he's down a level. Gilrenbad's looking quite strong. A Heck and Duck is getting smashed. Failed to E. Flash in there. The flash to follow. Gilrenbad's finds that first blood for Bayport. Ego could be in some trouble as well. Finds the stun onto Vanity, as we do see the teleport in the top lane. Now it's a fight in the bot side. Cajun Steady going in, throws in the W to block some things, but he's going to get himself booted up. The heal is out. Cajun Steady flashing himself away. The exhaust is down onto Noibel, but Gilrenbad's is on the way. Do they know? Samira now is going to be able to get that sight. Silverfang gets the amulet speed down towards Cajun Steady as the camera moves me to the mid lane. I don't really know why, but back in the bot lane, Gilrenbad's goes in, doesn't find anything. The heal is there some damage traded in both lanes, but nobody goes down except the jungler.
Yeah, I mean, it all started off with Heck and Duck kind of, looking a little aggressive. His positioning kind of looked like he wanted to invade after taking the scuttle. I don't know if he was just trying to clear the scuttle that passionately or what. But yeah, I mean, after that fight, it breaks out bot lane. The exhaust from Soraka it was onto the Xayah, but since Sona was the one that was getting targeted, she was able to run away with no movement speed penalty. And then, the mid lane stuff happened too. They were just trading. And because the Jarvan was bot side and he just won the 1v1 in jungle at extremely healthy state, you just can't keep fighting that as the Follette bot lane.
Failed in a lot of trouble. The flash is there, but the flash from Meat, he's going to be cooking that one up. Vantage is able to find the solo bolo kill, however, in the mid lane. So a trade across the map, 1-for-1.
Yeah, we weren't able to see what happened in mid because they both happened at the same time and the camera shows top. But, at the top side, it was just Failed having a pretty bad wave state, pretty close to the enemy tower. And then Poppy, as we were saying, just poking this guy down to the point where he could finally all in him. And now, because of that, Poppy has a level lead, up a bit of CS2, and is going to be able to recall and buy even more than just a Sheen. I would assume it might be a Divine Sunderer game. I want to see what this Poppy's building, what they're cooking up here.
I'm thinking Sunderer. That seems like it would be wise to me. I think that's how that goes.
No, it's a Frostfire game, I think. Oh, wait, does that build into both?
I think so.
Oh, God. It's been so
I
long
could be
since
wrong.
I've
I'm not
played
an
Sheen
expert.
items.
Not an expert. My last Ezreal game, I didn't pay attention. So we'll eventually find out. But I think Meat is definitely far enough ahead that this is going to be trouble for Failed. Not a lot of ways to get back into this. Maybe you can find some sort of 1v1 at level 6, but I would be surprised if that's effective. Meat very, very far ahead. Just the cloth armor for Failed in a lot of trouble up here as the top laner. I'm not really seeing a lot of comeback in this lane. That means you got to look elsewhere. Maybe in that mid lane, mid jungle, both have a kill. That's where a lot of your gold is if you are Bayport, so I think that's where you would want to focus.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, obviously, top's not going the greatest, but we do have to give props to the mid lane. Obviously, the Vex solo killed Ego, which is very nice, and the Jarvan also has just hit level 6, so he can look for a little bit more gank pressure in the mid or top lane, because they don't have dashes, and Samira has to dash through you, so if you play it right, she also won't be able to dash away from your ultimate. Definitely expecting a few extra ganks from here. As Failed does pull him in, he's going to get the Q proc, has 3 passive bleeds, but is not going to be continuing this fight any further. He's just too far behind to even look for an all-in, ever.
Yeah, pretty much ever. I mean, look at that damage. Just the proc on the Grasp doing some bonus as well. Meat looking quite strong, poking him down, but Silverfang looks to be in a lot of trouble. The engage on the backside of Heckin' Duck is just going to get squashed. The Dragon picked up for Gilrenbad's Bayport. Able to find that in the top lane. Failed going back and forth. Yet again, I thought that was going to be a wider fight in the bot lane. Instead, just the kill on the jungler and the Drake secured. Gilrenbad's, this Jarvan, very, very scary right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, once again, the Jarvan's able to just pick up another kill onto the Talon. Talon took so much damage from the Dragon. Hextech Dragon, just one of the dragons, just does so much damage, has high attack speed, and has the passive that he himself has. So that Dragon, not one you want to take pretty much solo on Talon too, because your bot lane didn't really have priority in that lane at that point. Now Jarvan without ultimate, going to be difficult to gank bot lane here, so it's just going to be pressuring, make sure Talon isn't here, so his bot lane can shove it in. But, I mean, otherwise, yeah, overall this is just a very good start for Bayport.
Other than the top lane, Bayport is crushing right now. Goldie in the top lane is almost 700. Heckin' Duck, though, maybe is going to cut me short. Noibel has ultimate. I don't like this kick attempt. Heckin' Duck trying to go in, but Noibel not really taking any damage. There he goes. The ultimate
flash!
Out as Noibel trying to do his damnedest to go ahead, but Cage said he is going to find that kill. And Darth is going to get as well, as that was not exactly what they had in mind when they were trying to defend this gank. Bayport, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Noble just flashes back into the root of Soraka after leaving the silence. Obviously trying to get the ultimate and flash at the same time, but you got to put those in the same direction, and he chose towards the enemy, which secures his life, and I think Dantas may have been able to live if he kept running away, but, supports always die for ADCs, so I respect it.
Yeah, that was not... I thought they were going to be out, honestly, from that. I thought we got the flashes up, we have both ultimates.
The Soraka silence was so strong. I mean, and
Yeah.
obviously the flashback into it, but he was pretty much dead by the time that silence ended, so even if he flashed the correct direction, a single auto attack would have killed him.
Yes,
Also failed,
indeed.
missing this Q. Meat doesn't have any mana, so he can't look for this all-in, but there's an all-in in the mid lane.
Manage.
Ignite is ticking. He flashed away, though, and Tibbers does not have the damage for it.
The bear running desperately after him. Can't find it. That's Flash and Ignite expended for Ego, but the Flash in return for Vanity. Gilrenbads is behind enemy lines. Just gonna find the recall. As
He sees three of them. He doesn't want to be there.
Vanity threw the ultimate in on Vex. That was the Shadow Surge used.
Yeah,
Didn't
he was
quite
looking
connect.
for it. Has TP available, though, so this is a really big tempo for him in lane that he's able to pick up. And he's going to have to spend a lot of time off the map here and won't lose too many minions. Sadly, for this Vex, you don't have enough prio to contest this neutral objective being the Herald that just went down. It's going to be picked up by Talon here. But thankfully for Vex, you do have a small CS advantage and still have that solo kill in your pocket.
Yes, you do. So doing reasonably well. The Vex Cajun Statty 1 versus 2 in the bot lane, which we saw a lot last week. Seems to be relatively comfortable doing so, although it is both ultimates available, so they may be able to one-shot this Samira if they're able to get there in time, but it looks like Soraka will get back to protect his AD carry as Ego. That looks like it hurts, taking a big chunk from this Vex. Ow!
He has to go back to lane, or has to go back to base already. Thankfully Vex doesn't have the ultimate, so he can't all in, but... First tower in the top lane going to go down. Failed, has to try and run away. A Heckin' Duck slow did not actually connect there, so he will be able to actually walk away. Herald might get a second charge, though, and that's kind of disaster in the top lane for Failed. He wants to walk away to auto this. They're just letting him. Okay. Yeah, won't get a second charge, but still, first tower, all 5 plates. A big gold swing here for Follette.
Yes, indeed. That is quite a lot of money in the pocket of those two topsiders who are down in the case of Talon against their
Frostfire
laner. But at this point, Talon actually has more gold than Jarvan, which you would not think just looking at the scoreline. But with the Herald and those plates and the kill and assist, but we have to cut that short. Engage and Statty almost getting himself rooted up, is able to dodge away. Silverfang now beating the retreat. Wish is available, and Flash as well, but doesn't quite have the exhaust yet, so you do want to be a little careful you don't get one shot, but nothing will come of that. Some trading, and both 80 carries walk away reasonably unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, Cajun said he still has his flash available. Sadly, Nobly does have that ultimate, makes it very difficult to actually do some all-ins with that. But that's something, Samira Flash is a powerful tool. It's just one of those gap closers that she gets, and it's pretty much the only actual way she's able to get on top of the Xayah or the Sona. But here in the mid lane, we have a gank happening. The stun will not connect from Poppy, but it should just be a death because Ego's Tibbers is just too strong. Will be able to pick up a nice kill in the mid lane onto the Vex.
Yes, indeed. That was a lot of damage very quickly. Ego will lose his pet for the moment to the jungler, but the dragon can now be started up. Interested to see if they'll try to contest this at all. I would imagine they will not. Doesn't seem like something you should try to do without your mid laner. But some free time in the top lane for Failed, since Meat is down here, basically soloing the dragon at this point. So maybe the Darius able to get back a little bit in the game, but I do not have super high hopes. He is very far behind.
Yeah, it's always difficult. They were probably expecting this too going into the game, just knowing how the last week went. Thankfully, he's not too far behind, and Darius will always have some presence in team fights. Even if you're just standing there and autoing them, if you auto someone 5 times, you just gain a huge amount of bonus stats, and you're the very scary champion all of a sudden. So he's always going to be a bit of a presence, a bit of a body sitting in the front line there, taking up a bit of pressure. But yeah, I mean, sadly, too, this Jarvan has most of the kills, a lot of the gold for his team, which kind of feels bad because it's a little difficult for him to play this game into a Poppy, especially. And, he's not building full damage. I would assume he's just going to start building tank items after this, which just always feels a little bit bad when your tank's picking up most of the kills.
Bit of a battle in the bot lane. Silverfang takes some damage, but here comes the jungler. Cage instead, he's got to get himself out of dodge really quick. Goes for the flash. I don't hate that move. Gilrenbads not quite able to get in range for his own ultimate. I thought maybe the Samira would try to dash through him backward, but decides against that as Failed takes a ton of damage in the top lane. This gauntlet is freezing Darius where he stands.
Yeah, I mean, just the Sheen procs alone deal so much damage. Poppy so far ahead, item advantage. You just can't play this top anymore. Mid lane, some shenanigans going on. 2 versus 2 right now. Both jungles in the vicinity. It doesn't seem like anything will happen though, as Vex Ultimate does require a Vex follow up if she wants the fear, whereas Annie Ultimate doesn't require Annie's entire living being to be in front of the enemy champions.
Ooh, over the wall though, Meat. All right, he could find himself in some trouble. Gets hit by the ultimate. Can he just flash out of this one though? He definitely can. Wish keeps him alive. Maybe he just walks out of this even. Nice dodge on the Q. Decides to expend the flash, the EQ over the wall. Nowhere close. Off by about 45 degrees on that, and decides against the follow-up. So a nice escape there by Meat in 1 versus maybe 2.5. We'll call it.
Yeah, I mean, getting a little greedy, having to expend his flash there for the for the Krugs. But yeah, it does live with the flash. Very nice, very well played. It was a good flash to get out of there. Right to the blast cone, and Talon was waiting just in case they kept going a little farther. But without Vex Ultimate or Jarvan Ultimate after that initial engage, it's very difficult to keep chasing.
Indeed, it is. Not a lot on the map just now. Baron in 4 minutes, the Dragon in 2.5. So a little bit of time for these teams to just sort of go toe-to-toe. Ego takes a bunch of damage, but he should be able to get at least some trade back. There it is. I'm surprised these bot lanes haven't actually fought more. There's been a little bit of skirmishing. I guess that's what you get when you have 2 enchanters, sort of healer-type supports.
Yep.
But personally, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I definitely, as a caster, you always want to see a little bit more fighting, right? You want to make some action in the game.
Yeah,
and speaking of...
I don't think Failed has a whole lot of hope here. Goes for the heal, but definitely tried. Eventually going to get cut down. Who do you give it to? Give it to the Talon. Able to find that kill. Pretty uneventful slaying in the top lane, as this Poppy will just continue to farm and get further ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Talon just noticing there's a kill in the top lane, getting a little more money in his pocket, trying to keep even with this Jarvan, has even kills now in that field, still down a little bit of CS, but engage in the mid lane. Vex has the fear, and it's just going to be a kill after casting every ability. I mean, once that ult lands, you're just dead. You can't flash it because the fear just happens instantaneously afterwards. You need pretty much frame perfect timing, if anything, and just through the CC, you're dead.
Yeah. Ego, if you have the stun up, maybe you can throw it on the Tibbers while the Vex is on the way, or flash the Vex under the tower and then throw it on the Tibbers, but without the stun available, you are pretty much dead to rights in that sort of situation. Once you get hit, you can, not a whole lot to do. You
got to flash the Vex ult, you got to dodge it somehow, but it came out pretty, surprisingly in between Vex abilities, so very good combo there, showing a little bit of skill on the champion, and just a nice solo kill in the mid lane once again.
Pings onto the Rift Herald, which is up right now. Looks like they will make a beeline for that. I like this move. You can maybe break the second tower on the top lane, break the mid lane tower. Many options once you get this objective, and the recall comes through from Jarvan right in front of it. So they are not going to contest this, maybe trying to reset and get themselves over towards the Drake. But at this point, another Herald going to be going in the favor of Follette. 2 shells are better than 1.
Yeah, I mean, the scariest thing about this, though, is Dragon spawning at 25, and Silver Fangs might be getting picked out. Ult's a little bit early, but it's fine. Cage and Steady going in the 2v1 in the bot lane. Dauntus has the ultimate available. No wind wall, but will just be able to walk away, just taking a trade at the end of the day.
Very surprised the Sunder did not continue and try to find the kill out of Cage and Steady. Got to dash through the Jarvan. Oh, the Blast Cone is available, though. See what?
Oh, he's autoing Jarvan. He hops over.
So that throws the heal, but... not a lot else to do. Unfortunately, the shutdown goes onto Soda, but back in the top lane, the stun will land out of Failed. Not a lot to do there. Meat able to pick up that kill, but trades across the map. Cage and Steady tried his best, but no flash means pretty much no hope.
Yeah, from Follette, obviously it went in their favor, especially considering that Sono was the one that got the shutdown. But the thing that I don't like about this is you are giving up Dragon. It just feels a little bit weird. Obviously, you're getting a lot of return in topside, but I don't think topside is like the biggest issue, what you really need to be worrying about. If this gets a second charge and you can take this tower, it's pretty good, but the Soul win con is definitely something that can happen. And as we were talking about, scaling is a possibility for Bayport here. That is one of the win cons that they have.
It definitely is. The charge will come through, but the Herald should just get taken down straight away. So that tower, I think, taken below 1/3. Yeah, it certainly is.
Yeah.
So that will not heal too far. Maybe a target for Meat in the continued 1 versus 1 at the top side, but the second Dragon, nothing too crazy yet. It would be 30 minutes by the time that soul got picked up. So I'm not too concerned about that. It is a long ways off, and Follette is relatively far ahead at this point. Baron coming up in 30 seconds. Maybe you try to start that around the 25-minute mark when the next Dragon is up, depending on where you're at. So many options for Follette here before they are completely in dire straits. But the Vex is really strong. I think that's the main win condition here. The dodge. I don't think that was deliberate. I think he was just on the way out.
It worked.
Maybe it works out though, and that is unfortunate. That would have been a nice kill.
Yeah, I mean, would have been still, no shutdown on it, but honestly, with the shield bow available, I don't even know if that would have been a kill. I do think that there's a world where Cajun Steady is able to turn that around, but since the ult didn't miss, we'll never be able to see that. Or the ult didn't hit and miss.
Yeah, we'll never know. Ego, though, might be about to find himself in a bit of a sticky situation. Almost dodges, actually, but no ultimate available means you can maybe follow up. Does he have the stun?
The stun, no!
Oh, the stun! You hate to see it.
Yeah.
I guess the Q not in range as well. We'll spot the jungler now on the ward, but he has a long way to run. Getting himself out of this one. The ultimate under the tower. Cataclysm fights on both sides of the map.
No
Can't around it. No, the stab in the face. Back to the mid lane. Cajun Steady trying to go toe-to-toe, blocking a lot of damage. The Gale Force forward is not enough to find the kill through the shield, but that will block that one up. Back to the top lane. Failed. In a little bit of trouble. Gets slammed into the wall, and we've seen this story before. Thrown in the air. Tries to flash.
He flashed! No!
To follow me. Now on a killing spree, 3-0, continuing his campaign in the top lane. Should be pushing towards that low health tower. Recalls come through in the bot. They are forced to abandon that push.
Yeah, I mean, that just feels bad. A lot of stuff happened on the map, and while some of it was in your favor, specifically what happened bot lane, in mid lane, Soraka was just too strong to pick up any kill, and you're just losing so much top lane. It is just bleeding constantly. You have to keep sending people up here. You're losing priority in your other lanes because of this. And the Poppy is just becoming very strong. Like, this Poppy is easily beating this Darius in a 1v1 with still full HP afterwards. So once these team fights start hitting, or even if you're going into the 4v4 or 4v5, Poppy is a very strong side lane pressure for those moments.
Yes, absolutely. This Poppy, I imagine, will just continue to exert pressure. That's what you want to do in this kind of situation. You don't need to bring the Poppy into the team fight. You can send the Poppy bot if you want to try to take those towers, continue to leave her top in the 1v1 against Darius. Just keep absorbing pressure because you're probably, pretty close to even on the rest of the map in the 4v4. Just let this Poppy smash in the side lane, in the 1v1. She is so scary right now. Don't bring her into the team fight. That's not the point you need her at. Just let her keep kind of doing her own thing. She is crushing in the side lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult here for both teams to try and find out what to do. Obviously, you are, looking at a way stronger team for Follette right now, especially with the gold advantage that they have. But it's also not easy for this Samira to kind of find any engages, and you don't really want to be fighting without this Poppy because she does have most of your gold. In a little bit of a twist, we have a 1-3-1 going where a Poppy is actually sitting in the mid lane doing a bit of like the jungle type of roaming around.
Poppy's on the way. It is coming, I think, here in time. Wish will buy a lot of time over the wall. Going bad, in all sorts of trouble. Gets thrown back. Ooh, misses the Q for the Poppy. There's the stun from Annie. Meat now on a rampage. Tibbers.
The tower's 1 HP. Go for it.
Tower. Meat has figured it out, I think. Throws the thing at the tower. Gets himself feared. Tibbers continuing forward. Meat, I don't think, has the distance to close on this Vex, but creating a lot of pressure. Oh, maybe does. The W, the movement speed, the spell is in. Energy very low. Tibbers doing so much damage.
No!
If you're Meat, Ego gonna get turned around on Vanity. Finds that as the teammate. Sort of abandoned, now Noble in all sorts of trouble. Goes up into the ultimate, trying to block those feathers out, and the flash away. Noble barely keeps himself alive. Barely the burn down from town. Will not quite be enough, as we see fighting across the map, resulting in the end a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, Ego just got a little too aggressive at the end there. I also think Meat could have probably walked under that tower and gone for the kill.
Yes.
But, yeah,
I agree.
They just leave it. And Ego didn't get the memo, so he walks under tower and dies.
Not optimal on that one. I feel he was abandoned by his
team's still up 6,000 gold, though, right? Like, you win some, you lose some.
Yes, indeed. The Dragon up in 20. Contest here for Follette. Gilrenbad's maybe going to get himself jumped if he walks in the wrong bush. Silverfang down to half HP, but I don't think that will be a huge problem. Meat 2.5 items already completed. By far the scariest in the game. Gilrenbad's not able to spot out the Pixel Brush. So that bush bait is still there. Meat slamming him into the wall could result in a kill with the silence to follow from Silverfang. Got to be very careful if you are the Jarvan here, as the Dragon Dance has commenced. Dauntus,
goes the ward.
This is looking so bad. Tibbers could be a huge stun. The one stun goes down. Dauntus already taken out. Gilrenbad's now forced to flee for his life. Half HP, flashing away as the feathers are pulled back. Noble trying to do his best, but Cajun Steady in the backline, able to find two, trying to hit on a failed, but it turns out even an 0-4 Darius is pretty tanky against single auto attacks of a Samira. Ults the Wolves just for the swag, running himself away now. Nice dodge out from Vantage, half HP. The Samira, he really wants his wolf. He's not going to be able to find it. There goes the shield bow. The heals in from Silverfang as well. Heck and Duck jumping himself forward. The slow will not quite land. Neither will the passive proc, so they're forced to call that one off. Ultimate still there for the Vex. So you want to be a little bit careful as they peel off towards the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, overall, that was a really good play in favor of Follette, and that's kind of what we were expecting with this gold lead. And I mean, it all just starts from Sona having no vision. It's very hard to walk up and ward any of this, and Follette is just playing really well around this vision that they have. They know where enemy has vision. They sweeped everything. They can just sit in the bushes and wait for them to contest, because you always know that if that dragon's available, someone will eventually walk towards it.
Somebody will, unfortunately, always walk in. That's a good point. And indeed they did. If you have no vision, what do, right? It's so hard to get in. If you are the Sona there, you got to maybe send the Darius first or something like that, but that doesn't feel super great. So Noble now could be in a lot of trouble. The ultimate is available. The feathers may fly. Silverfang on the way. Feathers
Here goes the flash ult.
Is able to even use its stun. Not able to push the button. Daunt is trying to run away with the Ignite, and the Talon Burn will be too much. The bot lane eviscerated off the map straight away.
Wow, I mean, just one shot onto Noble. He wasn't even expecting it, just the flash timbers. Can't even get your ult off before you're dead because of the stun. And they're picking on Baron here, and I don't hate this call. You know, it's a 3 versus 5, or yeah, 3 versus 5. You're already super strong as a team, so you even win the 5 versus 5s. The one thing that worries me is that Meat is starting this at around 2/3 of his health bar. But I don't think this will go terrible for him. Their entire team is starting to show up.
I feel medium about it. The two champs you would want to be contesting this are contesting this.
Yeah.
The knowledge of that, I think, was enough to back Follette off. I think that is wise. An ultimate onto Silverfang. Silverfang would have likely gotten drawn pretty low. Could have gotten one shot. The resets for Vex and an AoE fear with the Jarvan coming over the wall. I think that could have gone wrong. And there's no reason to risk it. You're up 10,000 gold. You don't need to push the envelope. In that sense, you can just wait for the next pick, wait for the next Drake if you want to. Find one of these champs, get an ultimate out, something like that before you look for that Baron.
Yeah, I mean, the Baron's a big power point, and at this point in the game, I don't think you're too worried about getting outscaled. It's still going to be another 20 minutes until you're really getting terrified of the enemy team. So yeah, just playing it slow, like you said, minimizing risks when you're ahead is always a good thing. And just slowly bleeding out your opponents, man. Top lane's already open, that inhib is free. You have the Samira once again just sitting in a side lane, one versus the world, just trying to push these towers in as her team is either pressuring Baron or mid lane.
Not as big of a fan of the Samira side lane as I was last week. Just given that Poppy is so far ahead, this should be the Samira standing mid lane, and the Poppy should be bot lane right now.
It's just the preferred play style. It's comfort.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I don't love it. It might be comfort, but I still don't like it. Samira, going back, you just can't join any sort of Baron fight right now. It's a lot easier to get picked off, etc. Silverfang maybe looking for the bot lane once again. Heck and Duck, here he goes.
He might be in trouble.
He's got some more enemies there. Wow, Dauntless taken immediately off of the map. Featherstorm from Noble is down as well. Here comes Ego. Flash not available. We saw that earlier. So there's not that ability, but Failed could get slammed to the wall. Yes, he will, down to half HP, make that a quarter, but he is going to be taken out nonetheless. Gilren Bats goes in for the engage. Ego has a stun. The Jarvan gets stunned up very, very low. Will he get taken down? Yes, he will. Meat is able to find that one. Noble running away from the bear. Meat jumping under the tower. He gets feared. Does he care? Maybe he's going to get taken down. Not able to find anything in return. The carry's very, very low, but a 3-for-1. It doesn't really matter. They're pushing in the mid. They maybe will look for the top inhib as well. We'll see what objectives they try to find here as fleeing our Bayport, the ones that survive.
Yeah, I mean, Meat just needed one auto to even pick up a kill there at the end, and it was very tragic that he was not able to get that off. But at the end of the day, I mean, once again, the play is just going hugely in favor. Your wallets are just way too big now. You can just walk up and slap them. That's fear used from Vex, though. Getting ran down by Cajun Steady, who has 3 items, is very strong. He can definitely 2v1 this.
But can he 5v1? Cajun
I believe! That's one!
Can he find a second? This
That's
is
2! That's 3! That's 4! Go for it! The tower!
Going Bats, able to keep himself alive. Cajun Steady took a few too many tower shots to survive that one, but a 5 versus 1 leads to 4 kills for the 80 carry for Follette. What a play.
And this is why he's side laning, baby! Man, that was insane. That was awesome. You hate to see it if you're a Bayport fan, but as someone who just wants to watch some good League of Legends, Samira killing everyone is some fun League of Legends to watch.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage coming out from this Samira. Inhibitor going to be taken down. Baron going to be taken down. The Follette cooking with gas. 11,000 gold in the lead. As if the flash was up for Cajun Steady in that fight, I think that may have been the 1 versus 5 penta.
Yeah, and that right there is just an example of what we were talking about pre-game, where it's very hard to gank the Poppy with Jarvan. But yeah, I mean, Baron goes over here. Everyone but your split-pushing Samira has Baron now, so you get a lot of pressure onto the map. Dragon Soul Point for both teams is spawning, but I do just expect Follette to be able to take this, and probably with this Baron itself, we'll be able to end the game.
I would imagine that they will not dilly-dally around too much in this split, as the Dragon is now on the map. 30 minutes into the game. See if they're able to do a whole lot. They may end up waiting for the Dragon Soul, which would be in about 5 minutes. We'll have to wait and see on that, but they will get themselves onto Soul Point right now. 3 of the Drakes stacking up, Baron up as well for another 2.25 minutes. So they grab the Drake. Now let's see what they look to do. I would imagine either push mid or push bot and look to break the base.
Yeah, 1 inhib down, 2 to go. Won't even need both of them if you just, win a team fight. You should just be able to end the game. But as we've been talking about, slowly and steadily bleeding out your opponents, making sure you don't put too many risks on the table. You have a lot of bounties on your team you don't want to give over. And, I mean, at this point, there's no neutral objectives. But in a few fights before, if you lose them, you could definitely get a big swing neutral objective. At this point in the game, though, you're going to have to lose 3 or 4 team fights if you actually want to lose this game, which seems very difficult with the wallet diff.
Yeah, there is a big diff in the wallet department right now. Quite a large gold lead. Almost 13,000 Cajun Steady.
He wants to go in
a little bit. Yeah, he definitely wants to fight. Taking a lot of damage. That's a big burst of healing. He's got the wind wall, though, for any sort of Vex ulting going on. So the push in the mid lane comes through. Bayport very much on the back foot right now. Tower being pressured down. Pressure in the top lane as well. What do you do if you are Bayport right now?
You pray. Pray to whatever you believe in. It's very difficult to come back into this game state. The biggest thing you can look for, though, is just trying to pick off someone who's alone. Like, this Talon's kind of been roaming around the map a lot. If you're able to get a Jarvan knock-up onto him, maybe a Sona ultimate too, you could one-shot this guy as he is building full assassin. It's a little bit squishy. But when, Lafolette's playing this smart, this slow, this, I guess you could say passive and aggressive at the same time, just waiting for the enemy to maybe misstep or just waiting for their, Baron-empowered cannons to beat the tower down. They're just playing smart, and it's just insanely difficult to come back from this game state. The best thing you could do is just not put it into this game state.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to get down 15,000 gold if you can avoid it. That's what the manual says. They are completely getting blown off of the rift right now. 2 inhibitors taken down. Going to be the 3rd one. You have to imagine this will be the game-ending push. Almost every summoner is available for Follette. Where do you see that flash? There it is. 1 kill. It's already picked up the engage to the backline. There's not a whole lot to say about it. 3 kills picked up. Make it 4. We might as well make it the whole squad as well. Able to get himself out of the fountain with the Gale Force, but it's not going to be a whole lot of solace. Going to find himself silenced, rooted up. Ego is there. Can he find the Q? No, he can't, but the Nexus will go down. Follette, high school esports team, able to improve themselves to 2-0 here in the league.
Yeah, I mean, well played by Follette. It was a good start by Bayport, too. The Vex solo killing twice and Jarvan getting a lot of map presence, but at the end of the day, it was just 3 losing lanes, and kind of what are you going to do? Talon was able to help mid lane get back into control. Any point-and-click stuns are just too strong to play pretty much any champion into, especially a very immobile one like Vex.
Yeah, once you get that far behind, there's not a lot you can do. Obviously, you can look to make plays, you can look to do your best, but it becomes just very, very hard to really get anything done once you fall that far behind. You're down 15,000 gold. What exactly you're going to do? I think Follette looks like a great team so far. We've seen them obviously 2 weeks in a row. They look like they are here to play in the league. Clearly seem like one of the top contenders in my mind. They've played pretty good League of Legends so far. Bayport, maybe just a few things to go back to the drawing board on in that, but a lot of season left. So many things, much improvement that we can see happen. But Follette, they look like they don't need a whole lot of improvement. They look pretty good.
Yeah, it's always difficult to kind of tell what you're going to improve on when you're looking at, Bayport's perspective here, because, the biggest issue is kind of just your top laner fell behind, and everything else was kind of just a domino effect from that. And your top laner falling behind there just felt super awkward, just due to the fact that Beat, was able to just sit there, poke him out, and Jarvan wasn't able to ever capitalize on that because of the Poppy Jarvan interaction.
Yeah. Right. You just can't gank that. It's just not a gankable lane, really, in any case. So, sort of a crushing game from La Follette, able to play out their composition very well. Cajun Steady with the fun highlight reel as well. The most kills in the team, leading his team to victory again. Any final words before I close this one out for the day, sir?
No, I mean, once again, congratulations to La Follette for being able to take it 2-0 so far. Expecting to see some better things from them too, just from the way they've been playing, and you can take it from here.
Absolutely. They've looked great. Congratulations to them. We look forward to more games next week. We will return next Wednesday, hopefully with your regularly scheduled programming, but kids are getting off spring break, so that should help with the scheduling as well. But with that being said, I think that's all we have for you tonight. This has been the Wisconsin High School Esports Association Varsity League of Legends. I have been Jarl Carl alongside Zombro. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.